The numbers never lie. Marla Kowalik had exactly one system for picking lottery numbers, and it was not a system so much as a cat. Her cat, to be precise. A fat orange tabby named Heisenberg, who liked to sit on the newspaper while she filled out her ticket, and who, on the particular Tuesday evening this story begins, happened to be sitting directly on top of a rerun of Lost, playing on the muted television in the background. The numbers flashed across the bottom of the screen during a trivia segment. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Well, Heisenberg, Marla said, those are suspiciously specific numbers for a show about a magic island. Let's use them. She filled out the ticket. She did not think about it again until Saturday, when the numbers came up on the state lottery drawing, and Marla Kowalik, 41 years old, unemployed since the bakery closed, owner of 1 cat and 0 tennis rackets, won $5 million. She screamed. Heisenberg, unbothered, continued licking a spot on his own leg that had been clean for several minutes already. On Monday morning, Marla drove downtown to the Millbrook Lottery Claims Office, which was really just a folding table in the back of the county clerk's building, staffed by a bored man named Gary, who processed marriage licenses in the mornings and lottery winnings in the afternoons. To collect her check, she sat down. Gary slid the paperwork across the table. She picked up the pen. And then it was Tuesday evening again, and she was sitting on her couch with a lottery ticket in one hand and a cat on a newspaper in front of her, and the television was playing a rerun of Lost. "Okay," Marla said out loud, to no one. "That's new." She tested it 3 more times because Marla was, if nothing else, a thorough woman. Each time, she filled out the ticket, usually with the same 6 numbers, because why mess with a winning formula, even a haunted one? Won the lottery on Saturday, drove to Gary's folding table on Monday, picked up the pen to sign for her check, and woke up back on her couch on Tuesday evening with Heisenberg on the newspaper and Jack and Kate arguing about the hatch. By the 4th loop, she noticed something. It was always this Tuesday, not the Tuesday before, not some other random point in her life, always the exact moment she was about to fill in the ticket. She could live an entire week however she wanted. She could quit her job search entirely, since apparently it didn't matter. She could eat an entire cake for dinner. She could in fact do anything except keep the $5 million past the moment Gary's pen touched the paperwork. "Well," she told Heisenberg, who was now licking a different spot that had also already been clean, "we've got some time on our hands. Or rather, we've got the same time, over and over, on our hands." Heisenberg meowed, which Marla chose to interpret as agreement. Loop 7, in which Marla reviews. Every restaurant in Millbrook had, in total, 11 restaurants, a number Marla found delightfully manageable. She started with Guido's Pizzeria on Main Street, ordering one of everything over the course of what was, to her subjectively, 3 consecutive Wednesdays, since Wednesday never actually ended up mattering to the loop's reset point. Guido's solid crust, forgettable sauce, exceptional garlic knots, 7 out of 10. She moved to the Golden Wok, where she discovered that the owner's mother made a secret off-menu dumpling if you asked for it in Mandarin, which Marla did not speak, so she simply pointed enthusiastically at a laminated photo taped behind the register until the owner laughed and brought them out anyway. 9 out of 10. Mostly for the dumplings, partially for the laugh. The diner, the taco truck, the fancy steakhouse that turned out to be a sizzler with a candle on every table. The barbecue shack, the sushi place that was extremely brave to exist in a landlocked town. The bagel shop, the Thai place, the other pizza place that everyone insisted was actually better than Guido's, and was, Marla begrudgingly admitted, after 4 separate loops of blind taste comparisons, correct. She ate her way through all 11, methodically, joyfully, without a single calorie ever counting against her because, again, none of it technically happened. By the end, she had a ranked list, a set of very strong opinions about the Golden Wok's dumplings, and absolutely no closer to a check she could keep. She left a 5-star review for the Golden Wok on the town's community Facebook page anyway. It vanished with everything else on Tuesday. She left it again, the next loop, and the next. Somewhere, she liked to imagine, in a version of Millbrook that stuck, that dumpling place had 400 5-star reviews from the same woman. Loop 14, in which Marla takes up tennis. She'd never played a sport that required a racket, unless you counted the badminton unit in 9th grade gym class, which she did not, because she had spent most of it hiding behind the gymnasium curtain to avoid being hit by Chad Pruitt's serve. The Millbrook Community Court was free, mostly empty, and staffed by a retired pro named Diane, who gave lessons for $20 an hour and did not ask a single question about why a grown woman kept showing up brand new to lessons roughly once a week, sometimes twice, always slightly better than the last time, despite apparently never having practiced in between. "You've got a real natural forehand," Diane told her in what Marla estimated was loop 19. "I've had a lot of time to work on it," Marla said, which was true in a way Diane could not possibly appreciate. By loop 31, Marla could return a serve with something resembling topspin. By loop 40, she beat Diane in a practice set, 6-4. Diane looked genuinely stunned. Marla considered explaining the time loop, decided against it, and instead bought Diane a smoothie from the place 2 doors down, 6 out of 10, overpriced, decent mango. Loop 22, in which Marla learns Polish. Her grandmother had spoken Polish her whole life and never taught Marla more than the words for eat and sit down, which admittedly covered most family gatherings. With infinite Tuesdays stretching in front of her, Marla found a language app, then a tutor named Bartosz over video call. Then eventually, around loop 50, a worn copy of Pan Tadeusz she ordered from an online bookstore and read with a dictionary in her other hand. She never had to pay the credit card bill, of course. Every purchase, every lesson, every crumb of progress dissolved back into Tuesday evening, along with everything else. Except it didn't. Not really, because the knowledge stayed. Somewhere in the folds of whatever was happening to her, the words stuck even when the calendar didn't. By the time she could argue with Bartosz in halting but genuine Polish about whether Krakow or Warsaw had better pierogi, she had never been to either, but she had opinions now, damn it. She realized this was the strangest tuition-free education in human history. She celebrated by trying to order at the Golden Wok in Polish just to see what would happen. The owner looked at her, delighted and baffled in equal measure, and brought out the dumplings anyway. Loop 35, in which Marla, for reasons not even she could fully explain, learns Latin. This one started as a joke. She'd read somewhere that Latin trains the brain, and thought, well, I appear to have a brain that is currently sitting in an infinite training montage, so why not? By loop 60, she could conjugate verbs in her sleep, which was convenient, because she was starting to dream in 3 languages and 1 dead one. She translated the label on a can of cat food into Latin for Heisenberg, who was unimpressed, being a cat, and therefore constitutionally unimpressed by everything except the specific sound of the food processor. Felis cibum tum paratus est, she told him. Your food is ready, cat. Heisenberg meowed and walked away, because he had already eaten 40 separate breakfasts that week from his own perspective. Though of course, he had no memory of any but the most recent, being, as far as Marla could tell, the one creature in Millbrook entirely unaffected by the loop's memory rules. Lucky him. Loop 48, in which Marla tries, repeatedly and with increasing desperation, to break the pattern. Somewhere around loop 70, the novelty wore thin, as novelty tends to do, even novelty involving unlimited dumplings and a very good forehand. She tried picking different numbers. She closed her eyes and jabbed the ticket at random. She picked her birthday. She picked Heisenberg's estimated birthday, which she'd invented years ago because the shelter hadn't known. She picked the numbers from a fortune cookie. She picked numbers a magic 8-ball technically didn't give her because magic 8-balls don't give numbers, but she asked anyway, out of spite. Every single time, somewhere between filling out the ticket and dropping it in the machine, her hand would drift infinitesimally, unstoppably, back toward 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. She noticed it happening once, mid-loop, like watching herself from just outside her own body, her pen hovering over a 17 she'd fully intended to write, and then simply not writing it, the number sliding out of her grip like a fish she hadn't quite decided to release. That's not free will, she said aloud, to Heisenberg, to the empty apartment, to whatever cosmic mechanism was clearly enjoying this. That's a rigged system. She tried not buying a ticket at all. That Tuesday, the store was inexplicably out of the specific pen she liked, and by the time she'd resolved the pen issue, gone home, come back, argued briefly with the clerk about whether pens even mattered, and finally sat down at the counter. She'd bought the ticket anyway, muscle memory doing what her conscious mind refused to. She tried leaving town entirely on the Tuesday in question. She got exactly to the county line, where her car, with no warning and no mechanical justification whatsoever, produced a flat tire so improbably timed that she started laughing out loud on the shoulder of Route 9, alone, at nothing, because what else was there to do? Loop 61, in which Marla decides reasonably to study quantum mechanics. If the universe was going to trap her in a Groundhog Day scenario with suspiciously specific rules, Marla figured she may as well understand the rules. She started with a library book titled Quantum Physics for Beginners, which she found insulting by page 12 and inadequate by page 40, so she moved on to actual textbooks, then to online lecture series from a university professor with a soothing voice and a whiteboard he clearly loved more than most people in his life. She learned about superposition, the idea that a particle can exist in multiple states until observed, which she found deeply relatable, given that she currently existed in a state of recently won $5 million and never actually gotten it, simultaneously, forever, until Gary's pen touched paper and collapsed the whole thing back to zero. She learned about entanglement and wondered with genuine unease at 3 in the morning during loop 80-something whether she and that ticket were now entangled particles, doomed to resolve to the same measurement no matter how many times or how many ways she tried to separate them. Then she moved into relativity because a physicist she'd cornered at a guest lecture in the city, driving 2 hours each way, 7 separate loops in a row, just to ask him one question each time and never getting a satisfying answer, told her, not unkindly, "You're describing a closed, time-like curve, which is technically permitted under general relativity in certain solutions. But I have to be honest, it's usually theoretical. It's not theoretical for me, Marla said. It's Tuesday, repeatedly. The physicist blinked. That's quite a claim. I have a cat who can attest to nothing because he has no long-term memory of it, Marla said. But I assure you, she went home and read about block universes, about how, in one interpretation, every moment that ever happens or will happen already exists, unchanging, and time is just the illusion of moving through a landscape that was always there, which meant, in a strange and almost comforting way, that every single loop she'd lived, every dumpling, every backhand, every mangled Polish sentence, every Latin conjugation muttered to an uninterested cat, wasn't being erased at all. It was just there, permanently, a version of Tuesday, fixed forever in the block, next to every other Tuesday, equally real, equally hers. Okay, she said to Heisenberg, at 4 in the morning, of loop 90-something, notebook full of equations she half understood, spread across her kitchen table. I think I might actually get it now. Loop 94, in which Marla stops trying to win. She sat on the couch on Tuesday evening with the newspaper in front of her, and Heisenberg, same cat, same spot, same total lack of awareness that this was the 94th time he'd sat there, settled onto the paper exactly as he always did. The television played the lost rerun. The numbers scrolled past. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Marla picked up the pen. She thought about the $5 million, which she had never once actually held. Not really, not in any form that stuck. She thought about Gary's folding table and his slow, unbothered county clerk energy, and how she had never once, in 94 attempts, made it past the moment his pen met hers. And she thought about the 11 restaurants, ranked and re-ranked, and Diane's stunned face on the tennis court, and Pantadeusz sitting dog-eared on her nightstand in a stack of books that would reset with everything else, and the phrase Feliz cibum tum paratus est, which no living person besides her would ever hear and understand, and the physicist's slightly alarmed expression, and 94 versions of herself standing permanently, unerasably, in some vast, unmoving block of space-time, having lived a life so much stranger and fuller than the one she'd had before any of this began. She wrote down 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Not because her hand drifted there against her will this time, but because, for the first time, she chose it. Let's see what Wednesday looks like, she told Heisenberg. She dropped the ticket in the slot. The machine printed her receipt. On the television, the castaways continued arguing about the hatch. The same argument they'd been having for 94 consecutive versions of this exact Tuesday, forever unresolved, forever fine with it. For once, Marla didn't mind waiting to find out what happened next.